Ladies and gentlemen, can you hear me all the way in the back of the arch? Yes? Wonderful, thank you. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. We are delighted to have so many people here joining us to celebrate our National Day, our King's Day. The last time I was in this yard an hour and a half ago, it was empty, and then I went to say hello to a few people who walked in. I come back and the whole place is full. Good, excellent, that's what we want to see. We're going to keep the official part a little bit short because there's a lot of things everybody has to discuss with everybody else. And we have good wine, we have good drinks, and we have an excellent band. The Company B Jazz Band. I don't know where they are right now, but Company B, hiding in the back.
Amazing.
Yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Compliments, they were even better than I had expected them to be. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said, there will only be mercifully two short speeches, mindful of the old wisdom that a good speech is like a woman's skirt, just long enough to cover the subject, but short enough to be interesting. And we stick to that old Dutch wisdom. To give you an idea of what we're going to do, in a moment I will pass the mic to Floris Scher, who is standing to my right. That was somebody's pacemaker, I guess. Floris is the marketing manager for Western Canada of KLM Royal Dutch Airlines. He'll say a few things. I'm sure they'll have to do with the fact that KLM has now been carrying out flights to Vancouver for 30 years, and there is also another anniversary, the first year of the flight to Edmonton, but he knows a lot more about it than I do. He'll tell you all about that. And as a good marketeer, he did not come empty-handed. Hopefully all of you have dropped your business card in the bowl at the entrance. If not, you're going to be sorry about it, because Floris will draw one lucky person who will get 2 tickets from Vancouver to Amsterdam and back. And if you still want to participate, you have to be really fast. The ball is standing here. After Floris finishes his speech, they're all excited about your tickets.
You're already playing.
People moving ahead. After Floris' speech, I would drop it in there if I were you. I will be back with a few short comments on our National Day, but I'll keep my words short as I promised to you. After that, we'll do the nation building part of the evening. We'll sing the national anthems. Our band, nice as they are, volunteered to do the anthems and also the Dutch national anthem. Probably blissfully unaware of the fact that the Dutch national anthem is written in 16th century Dutch. And then they saw the text and they said, oh, that's quite complicated. And fortunately, we ran into Jeroen Vermeulen. Jeroen is also here standing ready, and he is a professional opera singer. He also performs the national anthems in the Rogers Arena for the Canucks and many other occasions. So he will sing and we will all join in. After that, I would like to invite you all to a toast to the King, whose birthday it is after all today. And that more or less concludes the official part. But we're now about to start the part with a speech by Floris. So Floris, may I invite you to take the floor. Ladies and gentlemen, Floris Scher.
Thank you, Gert. Great introduction. I'll indeed try to keep it short and sweet. That's I think we say in Canada. Don't go far, Gert, because I would like to offer you something before I go on to the draw. And you've mentioned this point earlier. We're really happy to be here, and we are really happy to have been here for 30 years, which sounds great, right? Pretty good for an airline to be here for 30 years. However, applaud yet. I would like to tell you quickly the story about how Vancouver got its name. Now, I'm pretty sure that a lot of you, especially because this is for the majority a Dutch crowd, know about this story, so I'm going to try to paraphrase it and make it really short, but there's a point to it, and it goes to the 30 years. So it actually starts over 700 years ago in 1315. And the fun part about me telling this story is that I can actually pronounce the names correctly. Reinhold was the count of a city called Coevorden. So he was called Reinhold van Coevorden. As I said, I'm going to do this really quick, so we're moving on to 1671. One of his descendants is called Reint Woldert van Coevorden. And Reint Woldert van Coevorden was one of those Dutchies that liked to go abroad. So he married Joanna Lil, who was a British lady. And then we go a couple of generations down, and then there is all of a sudden not Lucas van Coevorden, but Lucas Vancouver. So basically what the British people did is like Van and then a space and then Coevorden. That doesn't make any sense. Let's make it a bit shorter, take out the space, and we call it Vancouver. That's our last name. Lucas married to Sarah, and then a couple of generations down, and this name should ring a lot of bells, George Vancouver was born. And as most of you probably will know, Captain George Vancouver is the one who named a couple of the points on the west coast, like Coevorden Point and Coevorden Island, etc. So that's long story short. There's a very little place in the Netherlands called Coevorden, which is actually the place where Vancouver's name originates from. So why am I telling you this story, you may wonder? Well, what I figured when I found this on Google yesterday is that yes, it's pretty cool that we've been here for 30 years, but the company in 4 years will be 100 years old. So it took us a long time to figure out that Vancouver was a good next point on the map. So what I brought today, as maybe you could almost call it an apology to the Dutch Vancouverites, is a picture. And I thought it was very appropriate. I don't know if you can see, but it's a picture of the first flight to Vancouver in 1986, and there's actually two members of the Dutch royal family in the picture as well who were on that flight. So I'd like to offer this to you as a token of appreciation for Dutch Vancouver's patience with KLM. Very good. So moving on to the most important part of my speech, which is basically the draw. But before I do, I want to get you even a little bit more excited about this draw. This summer we're flying daily in our brand new 777-200 aircraft. So again, I hope you put your card in the draw. And I don't know if you have something to drum on, but I always like to hear a little drum roll. There we go. The other way. And the winner is Susan Bibbings. Wow. Thank you very So, Susan, if you come up, we can take a little picture and I'll hand the line back to you. So, thank you very much and have a wonderful evening. Congratulations.
Wow, I never win anything.
Like this, quite official. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And have a great flight.
So, ladies and gentlemen, now follows the second and also the last part of the official part of tonight. Unfortunately, I don't have tickets to hand out. I work for the Dutch government, and the government is always poor, as you know, so we'll have to do it with a few drinks and a few things to eat. But there's a few things I would like to point out, because today for us Dutchmen is a special day. It is our national day. Let's see whether this works. Yes. I'm not sure how visible this is all the way in the back, because the daylight doesn't help, but On the other hand, we are very fortunate with the weather because 2 days ago it was snowing in Holland and we were very worried that we would have similar weather here, but it's dry, it's sunny, so it's exactly what we wanted. Today is the birthday of the lady to the left, Sheena Easton. Everybody above, say, 50 years old knows her, I guess. And the person on the right is difficult to see when you're standing in the back. It's the computer mouse. The computer mouse is turning 35 today. In 1981, on the 27th of April, for the first time, the computer mouse was introduced. If you remember using a computer without a mouse, then you're at least 45 years old. However, the most important birthday today, of course, is this gentleman, our King, His Royal Highness King Willem-Alexander. Here you see him in his military outfit. He is a general in the Dutch army as well. And this is a more informal picture together with his wife, Maxima. Both of them are very popular in Holland these days. And that is why all over the world, in 160 Dutch embassies and consulates, we are celebrating the National Day today on the 27th of April, his birthday. Actually, we're the last ones, together with our colleagues in San Francisco, for obvious geographical reasons, because our colleagues in South America are right now cleaning up the mess after the party. Our colleagues in Holland and the rest of Europe are already asleep, because it's 7:30 here, so it's 4:30 at night in Europe right now. In Asia, it's already morning. They're having their coffee and they're talking about the party they had the previous evening and everything that went wrong and went right. And in Australia, of course, they're already having lunch. But we're doing it now. We're the last one. And a party like this, ladies and gentlemen, it seems very easy. You just put on a tent and you invite people and you have a party. But it is actually a hell of a lot of work to organize something like this. And we could not have done this without a little help from our friends. And all those friends you see here on this slide, these are the sponsors of tonight's event. LNG Canada Shell, Martin van Keken, Van der Lande, Boskalis, Randstad, KLM, Royal Dutch Airlines, Sam Smith, Heineken, you must have discovered already. The Holland Shopping Centre, you also discovered all the way in the back. Yeah. Hemlock and A&B Rental. Thank you all very much, sponsors, for your help. We really appreciate it. And I really want to ask you another applause for two people who have been so busy over the last 72 hours. Our in-house catering company, my wife and Jennifer. My wife is standing here and Jennifer is probably hiding somewhere in the kitchen. Here in Vancouver, and that's another point I'd like to make. Thank you for joining us here at the official Dutch residence here on Wolf Avenue. And there are some people here of Vancouver City Hall, and I'd like to commend those people for the way they run the city and the way they run the street naming department, because you think that all these names are coincidental, but they're not. There is a lot of historic awareness behind the names of the streets in this city. And I mean this. Here you see, again, apologies for the people in the back, it's difficult to see. This is a map, it's coming from Google Maps, of the area. The dot here is where we live and where we are all right now. The long orange line is the curving Wolf Avenue. And there is a short street, a very short street, that's in blue over there, that's Montcalm Street. Why am I saying this? Well, Wolf Avenue is not named after this animal, although people often think that's the case. Wolf Avenue is named after this chap, James Wolfe, the British general who died on the 13th of September 1759. And even though he died, he won the battle and he won the war. It was a decisive victory. He beat the French, and actually that was the end of the French influence in Canada. But the poor guy paid with his life on the 13th of September 1759. And the following day, his counterpart, General Louis-Joseph de Montcalm, also died in the same battle. but then he lost the battle, so the people in Vancouver gave the winner the big Wolf Avenue, and the loser they gave the small Montcalm Street. And they made sure they separated the two streets. There is a tiny piece of 16th Street running in between, so they don't touch each other. This is what I call historic finesse. He doesn't need any mentioning anymore because Floris already explained to you the role he played in the history of Vancouver. So I take you back to the present, and I'd like to say a few things about the relationship between Canada and the Netherlands. That relationship is excellent, no wonder. 71 years ago, it was Canadian troops that liberated the Netherlands, and we never forgot. Thank you, Canada, for doing that. We'll always remember that. Here on this map you see a slight difference between the two countries. There is a slight difference in size. You see the entire European Union projected on the northern part of Canada. Holland is slightly smaller than Vancouver Island. Actually, Canada is 250 times the size of Holland, but population-wise, the difference is much smaller. Holland has 17 million inhabitants, Canada has 35 million, so it's only twice as many. That means that the density of Holland, population-wise, is of course much higher. In other words, if Holland had the population density of Canada, the whole country would look like this. It would be very quiet, 140,000 people living there. And you could leave your bike anywhere against a tree, you would find it still back when you would come. I would highly recommend against that now. Conversely, if Canada had the population density of Holland, English Bay would probably look like this also, and there would be 4 billion people living here. People move, of course. Lots of Dutchmen moved to Canada. Quite a few of them are here right now. Between 1947 and 1963, 150,000 Dutchmen decided to emigrate from Holland to Canada. Right now, 1 million Dutchmen live in Canada. Only 130,000 still speak the language. We're working on that. And the other way around, only a bit more than 5,000 Canadians decided to move to Holland. So maybe somewhere we're doing something wrong. And another misunderstanding, there's a few things I just want to mention now that I have all of you gathered here together, is about Holland and the Netherlands. It's not the same thing. The entire country is called the Netherlands. Holland is only a part of the Netherlands. It's the western part, the most important economic part of the country. It's the same difference as England and Britain. And then, as we are solving mysteries anyway, then is the orange story. I don't know how many times I heard when I visited Alberta, what is the connection between Holland and the National Democratic Party? Well, there isn't any. We don't support any party, we're absolutely neutral here, of course. But you know that the Dutch always run around in orange whenever there is a party. You can, if you look around, you see all these orange ties. And there's a reason for that. That goes back to a long time ago, 1544, when the guy to the left, a Frenchman named René de Chalon, died. He looks old in the picture, but he was only 25 when he died. He didn't have any kids, and his possessions, including a principality in the southern part of France called Orange, and his title, Prince of Orange, Prince of Orange, went to his nephew, and his nephew is the guy on the right, Willem van Nassau, William of Orange, the founder of the Dutch, of the Netherlands. Actually, he is a kind of John MacDonald, and then the Dutch version of it, and a little bit earlier in history. So that is where the title Prince of Orange comes from, and that's why you see all these Dutchmen running around in orange all the time, whenever there is something to celebrate. This is where that Orange Principality is located, in the south of France. It's next to Avignon, where the French held the Popes hostage for 70 years in the 14th century, and it produces an excellent wine called Châteauneuf du Pape. Many of you will know that wine. If you translate it from French to English, it means simply Newcastle of the Popes, and that is the wine that comes from that area. So next time you have a glass of Châteauneuf du Pape, there is a connection with orange. And you can explain that to other people. I also consulted, Floris, you're not the only one consulting Google, I did that too. When you look on the statistics office of the Canadians and the Netherlands, you find some information about the two nations. The most popular sports in Canada, no surprise for the Canadians among us, are hockey, Canadian football and lacrosse. In Holland it's soccer, tennis and fishing.
Fishing?
And food-wise, we think we have healthier habits than the Canadians. The most popular foods in Canada, according to the statistical office, are waffles, poutine and maple syrup. And in Holland it's cheese, bread and potatoes. I'll get back to the cheese in a second. When it comes to drinking, at least soft drinks, the Canadians are much smarter than the Dutch because they drink healthy stuff like milk, fruit juice and bottled water. And we Dutch, we drink Dutch stuff like Coke, Diet Coke, iced tea, and a Dutch drink called Kasses, which is very sweet. This won't surprise you, the prices of the homes. The most expensive house you can find in Holland would cost you 13 million Canadian dollars. It's actually for sale right now on the market. It's the house on the right. The most expensive house you can find in Canada costs 64 million Canadian dollars, and it's not far away from here on the Point Grey Road. The two countries are very similar when it comes to demographics. We live about as long. Men in Canada live to be 81, in Holland to be 79. The women, of course, a little bit longer because their life is easier than the life of men. There's two differences. We marry a lot later than the Canadians do. A Dutch man is 37 when he gets married for the first time. A Canadian man is 31 when he marries for the first time. And of course the women are also younger when they get married in Canada. And maybe that is why the divorce rate in Holland is slightly lower than it is in Canada. So the Dutch think longer before they tie the knot. A big difference in another field is that the Dutch are much taller than the Canadians. 8 centimeters is a difference, a little bit more than 3 inches, both men and women. And some experts believe it has to do with all the dairy products we eat, especially the cheese. And that is the reason that in the CETA negotiations between the European Union and Canada, the negotiations about a free trade agreement, we told the Canadians, guys, lift the import restriction on Dutch cheese. It's not that we want to sell you the cheese, it's just we are worried about the fact that you are not tall enough and you will play much better at basketball when you eat more cheese. Where we really lose against Canada, and this is almost my last slide, don't worry, there is an institute called RepTrak. RepTrak tracks the reputation of countries and compares them. Every year, Canada ends #1 in that ranking as the most reliable country in the world. Norway is #2, Sweden is #3. Apparently it has to do something with the weather, with the cold. The Dutch are only #9. And yeah, we cannot change that. And if you ask the people, characterize a country in one word, then what you get for Canada is friendly, and what you get for Holland is direct. One last one about similarities and differences. In the end, all things considered, there are far more similarities than differences between Canadians and Dutchmen. I have an excellent case in point here. Here you see the two participants from Holland and Canada in the 2015 Miss World pageant. And you also see the difference again, these 8 centimeters difference in length. To conclude, looking ahead at events we are going to organize soon, next Friday and Saturday we will organize a concert with 3 very gifted young musicians in Vancouver and in Abbotsford performing. If you have any questions about it, if you want to go there, the admission is free. My deputy Paul, I don't know where Paul is. Paul, where are you? Over here. Over here. He knows all about it. If you have any questions about it, ask him. Then later on we have the commemoration of the liberation of Holland on the 5th of May. There's some CETA events and there's a lot of biking events coming up. You can also follow us on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Facebook or on our website. That is as far as the official part is concerned. I would now like to invite Jeroen to start the more complicated part, the national anthems. First the Canadian and then the Dutch national anthem. and you're all heartily invited to join in. Thank you very much.
Yes, please join in. René, kun je even hier komen? Kun je even staan, denk ik? Dit is mijn vrouw. Ik wilde even zeggen dat ik nou eindelijk een kop groter ben.
Nice try.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all our sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land, glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Nou, allemaal samen. Wilhelmus van Nassau ben ik van Duitsen bloed. De vaderland getrouwe blijf ik tot in den bloed. Prinsen van Oranje ben ik vrij ongevierd. De koning van Hispanje heb ik altijd geëerd.
Thank you very much. I'm really impressed. Ladies and gentlemen, if I had a glass, I would ask you to join me. Have a glass, Maarten. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, to the king. Now I have three things in my hands. Thank you for your attention. And two more things. There are people making pictures. We will put all these pictures tomorrow or the day after tomorrow on a site called kingsdayvancouver2016.ca. But don't worry, we'll send you all an email with the information you need. Then you can get your picture. And lastly, when you leave, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock at night later on, take a bouquet of tulips with you. There's one for every one of you. Thank you.